Just in while we're live, Taylor Swift is having bad blood with Blake Lively. I am not your dragon. I knew. If this is real, Blake Lively, you deserve all of this. Secret footage has been released that reveals that Blake Lively was working with Taylor Swift the whole time. This is a reckoning she needs to hear. This isn't bullying. This isn't harassment. This is
once a staple in Swift's famously tight-knit inner circle. Blake Lively's absence has become a glaring void. No sightings, no Instagram birthday tributes, no whispered reunions, just silence, a clean, surgical break. In a world where feuds play out in passive-aggressive captions and cryptic tweets, Swift's restraint became the loudest move of all. The question isn't if she'll speak, it's when and how. Cut to interior, a luxury New York penthouse, velvet drapes drawn. This was the setting of the incident. What was supposed to be an intimate script meeting turned into a strategic ambush. Blake Lively had rewritten a pivotal scene in It Ends With Us. She invited Justin Baldoni for feedback. But when he arrived, he found more than just a co-star. Taylor Swift, completely unaware of what she was walking into, had shown up at the time Blake told her to. According to multiple sources, Taylor believed she was coming over for moral support, a shoulder for her friend during a stressful production. She didn't know Baldoni would be there. She didn't know this was a meeting. And she certainly didn't know she was about to be thrown into the center of a scandal. From Blake's version, Taylor was the muscle, her dragon. But those close to Swift say otherwise. She wasn't briefed. She was blindsided. The meeting spiraled. Voices were raised. Accusations flew. What began as a discussion about a film script unraveled into a confrontation over legal threats, creative credits, and whispered implications of misconduct. Swift, who has spent more than a decade mastering the art of narrative control, now found herself trapped in someone else's chaos. And the fallout? Immediate. Swift was furious. This wasn't just friendship gone sour. It was manipulation at a level she hadn't expected. The woman who'd spent years clawing back her own reputation, who'd faced public betrayal and rebuilt from the ashes, now felt used. Weiss, she felt erased. Taylor had quietly helped shape parts of the script. She didn't ask for credit. She didn't demand a spotlight. She simply offered her instincts, her storytelling magic, as a favor. But when the lawsuits came, her contributions were brushed aside. Suddenly, Ryan Reynolds was named as the writer of the scene. And Blake? She stood by it. For Swift, that wasn't just a snub. It was a slap in the face. A betrayal not just of friendship, but of authorship. Of trust. Then came the Super Bowl. 2025, Swift, radiant, cheering from a VIP suite alongside Ice Spice and Ashley Avignon. One face, once ever present in those glittering moments, was nowhere to be found. Blake Lively noticed immediately. Where was Blake? Why wasn't she there? Just a year earlier, the two were side by side, laughing in matching puffer coats. This year, silence. No posts, no support, no nods of friendship, nothing. Lively's camp claimed she stayed away to let Swift shine, that she didn't want to overshadow her during such a big moment. But for a duo known for their coordinated public appearances, the absence spoke volumes. It wasn't just a scheduling conflict. It was strategic. Rumors swirled. Had Taylor cut ties completely? Was she distancing herself from legal drama tied to Blake's film? Had that fateful night in the penthouse fractured a decade-long bond? Insiders say yes. That night was the final straw. It wasn't about one scene or one meeting. It was about the pattern. The name-dropping. The way Taylor's name was used in legal filings, without her consent. As if her reputation could be leveraged like a shiny endorsement. But Swift? She's not an accessory. She's not a pawn. And she certainly doesn't play supporting roles in someone else's mess. Behind the scenes, sources say Taylor felt the friendship had become transactional. The loyalty wasn't mutual. The support was conditional. And when things got messy, Swift wasn't protected. She was exposed. The aftermath has been quiet, but unmistakable. Blake's name? Scrubbed from social posts. The spontaneous girls' nights? Gone. The shout-outs, the vacations, the sisterhood branding? Erased. This wasn't a slow fade. It was a calculated departure. Swift doesn't do public blow-ups. She doesn't need to. Her silence is louder than any feud. And fans are already speculating that the betrayal might find its way into her next album. A veiled track about a dragon-turned-fire starter. A coded verse about being used, then discarded. The clues will be there. They always are. As for It Ends With Us, What was meant to be Lively's dramatic breakout now lives under a cloud. Rumors persist about chaotic sets, behind-the-scenes power plays, and egos clashing. Even Reynolds' involvement has come under scrutiny. Did he actually write that scene? Or was it Taylor? And if so, why was she erased? One thing is clear, Swift won't forget. She may forgive, in her own time, but this was different. This was personal, and when she walks away, she doesn't look back. Cut to Swift walking alone, the stadium lights of the Super Bowl fading behind her. She isn't just distancing herself from a friend. She's reclaiming her narrative, one silent move at a time. Because in the end, Swift doesn't just write songs. She writes history. And Blake Lively? She just became a footnote. What began as a quiet rift soon snowballed into a public reckoning, not just between two friends, but between truth and perception. For years, Taylor Swift and Blake Lively were the kind of friendship people posted vision boards about. Red carpet moments, matching Halloween costumes, coded Instagram captions. A model of modern celebrity sisterhood. But behind the filters and fan edits, there was something brewing, something deeper, quieter, and far more strategic. It started with a movie. It ends with us, once meant to be Blake Lively's leap into prestige filmmaking, instead became the powder keg. A project dripping in pressure, ego, and behind-the-scenes politics. From casting controversy to script rewrites, the film was already walking a tightrope. Enter Justin Baldoni, co-star, co-producer, and the unwitting match to a media firestorm. Blake reportedly invited Taylor over for support, someone to lean on emotionally during an...
He's a bad guy.
She's amazing up until the last season, and I reject the last season. It's not
spoiler
canon
alert,
to me.
because the last season kind of does suck. She turns into a psychopath. I happen to have a few dragons, for better or worse, but usually for better.
Creative conversation. But insiders say what Taylor walked into was not emotional intimacy. It was a setup, a surprise meeting with Baldoni, legal talk, confrontation, and stakes no one had briefed her on. According to people close to Swift, she arrived thinking she was doing what she's always done for Blake, be a friend. Instead, she was cast in a real-life scene without a script or consent. The look on her face, said one source, was disbelief. Not just at the ambush, but at the realization she had been used. Taylor Swift has survived public feuds, cancel culture, and a decade of PR warfare. But this was a betrayal from within her own inner circle. And not just any betrayal, a calculated one, leveraged for credibility in a legal and professional landmine. For Taylor, a woman who crafts her legacy line by lyric, the implications were devastating. Swift is no stranger to being weaponized by exes, executives, and industry players. But this time, it was
for better or worse, but usually for better, because my dragons also protect those I fight for. So really we all benefit from those gorgeous monsters of mine.
a distant rival. It was a friend who, when the lawsuit dropped, quietly let Taylor's name vanish from the narrative. Her input on the script, uncredited. Her presence in the room, unacknowledged. The contribution she had made, now a ghost behind a project spiraling into scandal. Blake, once calling Taylor her dragon in a moment of empowerment, now stood silent as the fire engulfed the set. That metaphor didn't age well, especially when fans began pointing out that Swift's infamous past with snake emojis and media manipulation had seemingly come full circle. This time, the snake wasn't Kim Kardashian. It was closer. It was someone she called family. Then came the Super Bowl. Once a stage for their friendship to shine, where Blake stood beside Taylor, cheering for Travis Kelce, decked in coordinated outfits and infectious joy, now a glaring absence. 2025's biggest event became a magnifying glass, and Blake's no-show screamed louder than any headline. There were no posts, no sideline selfies, no show of support. Just silence. Strategic, eerie silence. Insiders tried to spin it. Blake didn't want to steal the spotlight. A noble sentiment on the surface, but fans weren't buying it. The optics were too stark. Because Taylor's VIP suite still glittered, this time with Ice Spice and Ashley Avignon. And if you know Taylor Swift, you know her guest list is never accidental. When someone disappears, it's not a fluke. It's a decision. And then the credits rolled, literally. As it ends with us prepared for release, something else ended too. Any illusion that Taylor's behind-the-scenes role had ever been respected. The emotional scene she helped workshop, publicly attributed to Ryan Reynolds. Swift's name, omitted. Her creative instincts, conveniently forgotten the moment controversy came knocking. For a woman who has spent her career reclaiming her voice and demanding her name be attached to her art, this wasn't just erasure. It was betrayal. The deeper betrayal, though, wasn't creative. It was personal. Blake's decision to invoke Taylor's name in legal discussions, to place her in proximity to a physical harassment lawsuit and defamation claims, wasn't just careless. It was cold. Swift, blindsided and furious, didn't post a subtweet or drop a diss lyric. She did what she does best, went silent. But that silence, it wasn't weakness. It was control. It was power. And it was loud. Sources say Taylor isn't planning to address the situation publicly. No interviews. No cryptic Instagram captions. But those same sources hint the dragon may not be breathing fire. Yet. Reputation taught us that Taylor doesn't speak until the moment is right. And when she does, it's sharp, coded, and impossible to ignore. Will this betrayal become a hidden track? A Dragon Starter ballad buried in album 12? Only time will tell. But for now, her silence is the story. And what of Blake? The woman who once shared vacations, dinners, and inside jokes with one of music's most powerful women is now standing alone. No red carpet support. No Instagram love. No Swifties rallying in her defense. She miscalculated. She thought the friendship could be a shield, a golden ticket, a backstage pass to public redemption. But Taylor Swift doesn't play background. Not for anyone. What's left is a scorched earth friendship. Taylor has scrubbed Blake from her digital world. The group hangs, birthday bashes, and festive game nights, all void of Lively's presence. And when Swift removes you from her frame, it's not because she forgot. It's because she remembers. What started as a creative disagreement ended in a legal mess. But underneath all the headlines, the deeper story is about trust, boundaries, and what happens when a friendship becomes a PR strategy. Taylor Swift doesn't need to clap back. Her absence is her answer. Her silence, that's the real closing statement. And Blake? Well, she's learning the hard way. When you try to direct the dragon, you better be sure you're fireproof. In the days following the so-called penthouse ambush, the entertainment world did what it always does. Whispered, speculated, spun headlines. But Taylor? She didn't flinch. She didn't engage. She simply vanished from Blake's orbit like fog lifting at dawn. What used to be sisterhood turned into nothing more than archival footage. Flashes of a friendship that once felt unshakable. And that's the thing with Taylor Swift. When she leaves, she doesn't slam the door. She closes it gently, locks it, and throws away the key, all while lighting a candle that flickers with the promise of lyrical revenge. She isn't vindictive. She's poetic. But don't mistake that for softness. It's precision. Her pen has always been mightier than any tabloid, and every betrayal she's ever faced, from Kanye to Scooter, has eventually become melody, harmony, and chart-topping catharsis. So what happens when the betrayal isn't from an industry shark, but from someone who used to hold her secrets, laugh at her jokes, and be part of her chosen family? Fans already have theories, working titles, hidden meanings, a line in a bridge about dragons who breathe fire when you thought they'd guard your gate, a chorus that breaks down the moment a friend becomes a liability. Or maybe it's even subtler, tucked between metaphors about smoke and mirrors, masquerade balls, and emotional trespassing. But if you think Taylor is going to rush her reckoning, you don't know her at all. This isn't just about Blake Lively or It Ends With Us. It's about what happens when the mask slips, when the curated aesthetic of girl power fades, and all that's left is ego and exposure. Blake may have thought the friendship was a ladder, something to climb on, reach higher with. But Taylor Swift? She was never a rung on anyone's ladder. She is the tower. And now, she's rebuilt the walls, changed the locks, and put the drawbridge up. Those who remain in her circle understand one thing very clearly. Loyalty is currency. And trust? It's earned. The ones who broke it won't be given a second verse. So as the credits roll on this real-life drama, with no Instagram statements, no public reconciliations, no pap walks with matching outfits, the lesson is written between the lines. Never mistake proximity for permanence. And never, ever think you can script Taylor Swift's narrative without her pen. Because in her world, when the spotlight fades, the silence speaks loudest. And right now, that silence is deafening.